Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Zelda Speedruns and welcome to Game 2 of this banger matchup in the Wind Waker 90% No Manual Super Swim Tournament 2022. We call it WaveCrash. Lower bracket round 2, Endvad versus Nimzo. We got the first game last night, just a mere 16 hours ago, and now we're back with Game 2. Spoiler, Nimzo is one game ahead, and now we're gonna see how it's going in Game 2. So without further ado, let's hand it off to the same commentator, the wonderful EJ. Take it away.
Thank you. I'm EJ. I am another runner of this game, also in the tournament. This is Game 2, hopefully starting soon. I think this will go a little bit quicker than last time, because I don't think Nimzo's having problems this time. But, this is any percent no MSS. I'll kind of explain what that means in a little bit, because we have a 5-minute intro. But yeah, this is our tournament for this category. As Trez mentioned, it's Game 2, so this is a best-of-3 tournament. Double elimination, so they're both in the losers bracket right now. Which is unfortunate for both of them, but they played some pretty good players in their respective winners brackets. So there's some pretty heavy hitters in this tournament. They themselves are pretty established runners. They've both been in the game for quite some time. Endvad's PB being a 132 and Nimzo's being a 117. However, despite that fact, it was still very close yesterday and very competitive, because this game is very difficult and you never know what's going to happen. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens this morning. So yeah, this is any percent no MSS. For people not familiar with the game, what that means is no manual super swim. That trick is banned. There's some additional restrictions, mainly being no actor unloading being allowed, which is important, but I'm not going to get into the details. And no PG skip allowed, which is skipping the Puppet Ganon fight. That is possible in this game. Saves about like 5 to 6 minutes in the 90% category, but just to make this a more beginner-friendly category on top of the no manual super swim, we decided to just have that be gone. In addition, for those a little more aware of the community, there is an intro skip. It's been allowed earlier last year. However, for the sake of simplicity, it's just not allowed this tournament, just to make it easier. So this intro will be going on for like 5 minutes, so we can get pretty cozy. And I guess I could mention that any percent no MSS is kind of like our beginner category. It's the most beginner friendly, I guess. This game is still very difficult to get into. But, still pretty fun. And this tournament actually, I don't know exactly what brought it on, but we've maybe seen a lot of new people join the Discord recently, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, hopefully this match goes pretty well. Should Endvad win, this will go to a Game 3, and I believe that is also today, but not immediately. Yeah, we'll see exactly what happens. I think yesterday, I'll double check, but it was like a high 20 minute finish time. Oh, it was a 131. Okay, yeah, so who knows what'll happen. Because there's no manual super swim, I guess I'm kind of assuming that, let's just say that everyone who's here has not seen the run before, just to explain it. Manual super swim is the trick that Wind Waker runners use at the beginning of the game, where they just pause a bunch of times to get the Wind Waker early. Kind of to summarize real quick, you just pause a bunch, gain speed, and then you zoom away. I'm not going to get into super detail because we're not doing it, but for those familiar with that trick, yeah, that is no MSS, or that is MSS, and it is not allowed. So because of that, we're going to be going through the beginning of the game pretty casually for the first like 30 minutes. But because the Wind Waker is such an important item, it's still our goal to get it as fast as possible. It's just that to do so, we're going to have to go through a lot of the game. Kind of intended for the first bit. So to kind of compare in any percent, usually you can get the Wind Waker as quick as like under 8 minutes. More realistically, you'll see a runner do it in like 10 minutes. And in this category, we get Wind Waker at about like the 31-minute mark, 32-minute mark. So it's quite a big difference. However, similarly, once we get the Wind Waker, the game kind of breaks immediately. So for this, because of that, the first 30 minutes or so, there's not going to be a lot of like crazy skips per se, but there's still a lot of optimizations and speedrun tricks that we use to kind of make it a little bit quicker. But for the most part, Outset and Forsaken Fortress are going to be kind of beaten as intended for the most part. So yeah, where players are about to get control in a little under a minute. And that's pretty cool. So yeah, pretty much the main objective of Outset is just to get the heck off as soon as possible. Well, conveniently also, we get a sword, which is one of the most important items in the speedrun. It is possible to skip it in a low percent sense, however, it's just so much faster. Oh yeah, I think I understand that question. I misread it, but yeah, there's never been, to my knowledge, a tournament of like anything in Wind Waker in the vanilla speedrun. This is the first time, which is kind of cool, and hopefully in the future we'll do more, not only of this category, but maybe some other categories too. However, this is definitely the most active category because a lot of the active runners do not either know or are not fond of MSS. It's all good. Yeah, so going through the main objectives of getting off Outset, we're going to hit all the story check marks, you know, getting heroes clothes, getting telescope, getting the sword, saving Tetra, getting shield, and then getting the heck out. I don't know, man. For the longest time, there was no runners to even do a tournament. Well, there was always, I mean, if you look back to I believe it was 2020, there was, oh, my bad. Yeah, manual super swim. It's the trick at the beginning that is all the pausing. So yeah, for the most part, because of that, the beginning's pretty normal. Like, for example, we're just save warping and stuff. I think the biggest thing that saves time is save warping, because at the end of the day, it's just normal movement. So we're just gonna talk to Errol. Yeah, so instead of walking all the way back to Errol, it's faster just to save warp, because our save warp spawn is conveniently right under her. After we do the telescope, we'll see a little cutscene, and then we'll go save Tetra. Pretty normal stuff so far. And because the game's, like, again, kind of casual, but speedrun casual, the first, like, 30 minutes, it should be pretty close, race-wise, up until that point. And it could potentially be close at the end, because, I'll explain it later, but I guess, the characteristics of the end of this category tend to lead it to be like literally anyone can win, which is kind of exciting, kind of annoying at the same time. But it led to a hype ending. It usually leads to hype endings at the end of the race, so it's always kind of cool. Basically, there's RNG at the end, and that's kind of the main reason why we decided to go with best of 3. But unfortunately, a lot of Wind Waker's categories are plagued by stupidity at the end. And they all have to do it puppy cannon, which is awesome. So now coming up is going to be the Orca fight. This is like the first instance of a clear speedrun strategy to save a significant amount of time in the entire Orca tutorial here. So the main gimmick of this tutorial is trying to teach you how to use the sword. And he's going to have you go through 2 sets of all the main types of attacks to proceed. And there's some quicker combos you can do to make it go by a little bit faster. So if you hold up and down respectively, or back and you first back and then up, I guess, towards Orca. On the 3rd and 4th hits respectively of a combo, you can do a quicker combo with a quick spin at the end, as you can see with Nimzo. And now Endvad, which saves a little bit of time across everything. In addition, there's a parry section, and there's a trick called quick parry. Should you input the parry in a 2-frame window, the second parry will come out a lot faster, so I think Nimzo's going for it. Unfortunately, it was early. However, we'll still see it be quick, because you went early, you still get 2 quick ones back to back. I believe Endvad was late on the quick parry, yeah, so neither runner got quick parry. It's unfortunate. It is the quickest, or one of the biggest time saves in Outset, so that's kind of unfortunate. But it is a-okay. And after this area, save warp and head to the Forest of Fairies. Because now all they need to do is save Tetra, and then get the shield and get the heck out. In Forest of Fairies is the 2nd biggest time save in Outset, other than just clean movement. This would be a Bokoblin fight. And there's a combo you can do out of a cutscene that kills them really quickly. If not, it can be kind of messy, but it's not totally end of the world if you don't get it. You can do some, I guess, strategic slashes to hope you don't knock them down and kill them quickly. Nimzo unfortunately losing all his speed on the wall there, but everything looking okay. Rolls, luckily, are pretty chill in this game. If you're familiar with a speedrun like TP, rolls are I think frame perfect in the sense of retaining your speed, your full speed. Thank God in Wind Waker it's 2 frames, so usually it's actually not that bad. Well, the 1 frame kind of makes all the difference, surprisingly. And then you see Nimzo grab a little red rupee, a little secret red rupee. That's important. Rupees are important in this route, but it's not super critical. The only thing we're buying is Sail, which is 80 rupees, and usually by the time we get there, we have enough. There's never really a case in this category where you're screwed by rupees. Although you can get a lot or a little here to start off with, and it kind of is cool. So that's the combo. Nimzo just got it. That's really cool. Also getting a ton of rupees. Wow, that is a lot in that patch. 30 means you're pretty darn set. Good recovery from Endvad knocking in the combo. However, as long as you don't knock him down, it's honestly not that bad. Just that when you knock them down, which is when you hit them from behind, they land on the floor and you just can't hit them for a couple seconds, and it's really dumb. So both Endvad and Nimzo now done with Forest of Fairies. We're going to come up on a kind of brief cutscene / text section. It'll be at least a minute and a half or more. And then we'll get the shield and leave. I guess I can explain. The game is the speedrun is primarily, I guess, these days always on the Japanese version. Not even for low percent anymore. That's just because Japanese text is so much faster. Even in a category like this, it saves multiple minutes. In an hour category like this, it's I guess convenient. Ironically, this is one of the sections that has the biggest difference. There's a long text section coming up with Tetra and the mailman. And there's like, I think in that alone, there's like over a minute difference between like English and JP, which is crazy. In addition, there are some version exclusive tricks, and also just some small differences in general, but for the most part, they never have a difference speedrun wise. Like you can still do this route on any copy. It's just text is very, very important. So now, after this, Nimzo and Endvad will gain control, go towards Grandma, get the shield, and then we will go to Forsaken Fortress. And that's like the almost last part of this normal part. Once we hit the Wind Waker, it'll be zoom in time. Another thing you could notice, at least based on the text, is that maybe you'd also noticed it earlier too, is that their file name is a random number, 6-digit number. That's just something that we do at the start of each race. We randomly generate a number just to make sure that, as a kind of like an extra layer of verification, there is a prize pool. So we just want to take the extra step, even though we don't expect anyone to do something naughty. But you know, just to do the thing. One quick little optimization you might have noticed is that Nimzo did a jump slash to kind of jump over that entire fence. It's pretty cool. Saves a little bit of time. It's kind of finicky setup. Wasn't paying super attention to the pace Nimzo's on for this segment. Just as a note, low 16 is like pretty good, but usually you want to get sub 16 in outset. Nimzo looking like it might not be. Usually you can tell by the time that you get this backflip into the cutscene, but I wasn't paying super attention. But it seems like it might be like a very low 16 for Nimzo. And similarly, just behind is Endvad. But again, usually it stays pretty close until the 30-minute mark. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Nimzo's PB is a 117, and Endvad's is a 132. That may sound like a pretty big difference. However, just that with how this game is as a speedrun, very difficult, and a lot of things can go wrong. It usually, you still never know who's going to win. Like even yesterday, it was very, very close and came down to the line last game. It was tied up in the very last segment of the run. Nimzo was the second seed coming in. We had some seeding races, which was really cool. Both of these runners lost in the winners bracket. Let me double check who. I think I said yesterday, but I don't remember. Nimzo lost to Jim. And Endvad lost to J-Wist. And hello. Yeah, honestly, the gap even then wasn't that big. Also, because if you remember what happened with like the RNG, like 2 minutes. I think they were 2 minutes apart after PG. It sounds like a lot, but that's like 2 tries of the RNG, and then bam, that's exactly what happened to you. Is Nimzo just didn't get 2 tries of the RNG, and then it was just tied up, which is it's just what happens. There is a hover backup you can do that's really cool. Where you can break the pot. There is a way, I mean, you can also just like break the pot and die, but that loses a lot of time. But it was like found that you can break the fairy pot there and land on it during the pot breaking cutscene, get healed during it, and then live. And that only loses like 50 seconds to an optimal first try, but it's guaranteed. But I don't think either runner goes for it. Yeah, Nimzo did fail leaf hover twice. Also at the end of the hover both times, which lost a lot of time. So technically, if he nails those both things and things were to go the same way, he would be significantly ahead too. He was on PB pace until that. Which doesn't say much because, I mean, it was only like 40 minutes in. So it's kind of a huge assumption to assume that it would have gone perfectly. But yeah, you never know. This is ropes 1. Call it ropes 1 because there is a ropes 2 we'll see later. We're just doing this to progress the story. There's an item we're getting here, the spoils bag. It's not required for anything. In fact, it creates some potential time losses because now spoils will spawn from certain enemies, and if you pick them up, you get a long, like, get item cutscene, which is stupid. But we have to get it to progress the story, unfortunately, to be able to go to FF1. Unfortunately, Endvad falling at the end of ropes 1. Just I guess saw the jump there, but it's no big deal. The door's still open. It's a little bit of a time loss. Yeah, I think it was correct to not press the button again. I'm pretty sure there's enough time, hopefully. I'm not super familiar. And now, for those unfamiliar, this is a pretty important segment coming up. I don't think Nimzo's going to go for it, actually, because he didn't go for it yesterday. Unless something happened that made him not go for it. But there's a thing called early lights. So there's 40 rupees on the courtyard of a Forsaken Fortress that are pretty convenient for rupees towards the sale, because that's like half of it right there. It's easy. However, 2 of the searchlights their pathing kind of goes over them. So ideally, we get there at a certain time of the cycle to just get it and leave. And there is such a way really early on. We call it early lights cycle. But it requires us to kind of play pretty good. And also, the timing doesn't start when we get there. It started the moment that Nimzo loaded the file. And the moment that Endvad just loaded the file too. These lights are moving, and this is actually happening. So this is like the actual light cycle right now. And this will carry all the way through to when we gain control. Like, there's no point where we reload the area. This is all a seamless event. And the environment's actually moving. So everything matters up to this point. We're mashing. Like, ideally, you mash this text as fast as possible. And if you were to mess up at any point, like grabbing the ladder or anything, it affects our ability to do early light cycle. However, either runner I don't think went for it yesterday. But it saves maybe like 10-15 seconds. Because if not, you have to like both wait for the lights. I think at least getting the rupee and also getting off the stairs. But primarily FF is going to be pretty beaten pretty casually. There's nothing too crazy we can do. We don't even have the Wind Waker yet. That's the difference between this and any percent for Forsaken Fortress. But it'll be kind of weird. So this is kind of like an espionage mission, I guess. Like we're going undercover, we're hiding. And there are some, I guess, exploits we're going to use to make it a little bit easier, though. But interestingly, it's going to be from vanilla mechanics that are intended, and we'll see that in a little bit. So we'll see if Nimzo goes for early lights. I don't think he will, because he didn't last time. Oh, he's going for it this time. Nice. So yeah, you can get under here. And I think going around the other side is quicker, but you can do this side, and I think he's going to make it. Oh, God. Oh, wow. So you can see how close that is. And that's the early light cycle. I think that window jump fails. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Yeah, I could tell the moment he jumped. So this kind of nullifies his early light. I think this is definitely slower than not getting early lights, which is unfortunate. I think he should wait. Yeah. A little unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. So yeah, there's a thing called window jump, where you can like jump into that window opening, and it avoids having to go through some doors to get to that point. So that window jump should work. Nice. Because we want to get to this Bokoblin as soon as possible. I believe Endvad opting to not do early lights, getting some extra rupees. That's kind of the bonus of not doing it, is if your rupees are kind of bad, You can grab 4 extra greens, which kind of helps. They're consistent. Some of the rupees that we get later on are technically RNG, so if you get really unlucky and you have a lower rupee count, it could kind of screw you over. Nimzo killing this Bokoblin. Bam, and he's going to immediately jump attack back into the same window hole so that he can proceed. And now he's just going to go beat FF1, going through it as fast as possible. Coming up, there's going to be a barrel section. You might be familiar with the Moblins. They'll catch you if they see you, but you can use barrels to hide. And interestingly enough, an intended mechanic of the game is that when you leave the barrel for a brief period, the game gives you a kind of buffed stealth stat for a little bit to kind of make it easier for the player to not get caught immediately. However, they kind of overdid it, so you're going to see that we speedrunners kind of abuse it to the extreme. So Nimzo's just going to grab this barrel, take it off, and just literally roll past all the Moblins. It's not completely broken. Like, you can't just walk in front of the Moblin and stand there. But to an extent, around the sides and the back of the Moblin, usually they would catch you. But because you have that buff, you can just sneak past. And you're going to see it again with this Moblin. We call this Moblin 3. Thank you. There's a lot to explain, so it's going to get even more crazier in a bit. It's going to be quite a blast. The Wind Waker split is always really, really hard to explain, especially to people that don't know much about Wind Waker, because it's one of the most complicated tricks coming up, and even I can't do it justice. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by work with Moblins. I mean, so the way, I guess I can try to explain, but you can maybe further elaborate if I don't hit the mark here. But what's specifically happening here is the Lantern Moblins are the ones that'll catch you, and it's specifically because we don't have a sword. If you don't have a sword, or if you do have a sword, these guys will just not get you, which is kind of funny. But also that means if you never have a sword, every Lantern Moblin in the game will catch you and throw you here. So fun fact, 90%, we go to a random Lantern Moblin, they go, like, they will throw you to FF1, which is really funny. And we abuse that fact, 98%. After getting the Wind Waker, we immediately go to like a random sub and get thrown here, because we do want to, you do need to beat Forsaken Fortress even in a game that does MSS, because FF1 is what spawns Coral. And just to kind of gloss over that, because I don't think it's too important to talk about, but Coral is required to beat the game, at least with current knowledge right now. Well, actually, no, it's a lie, but RTA, it's a nightmare, so we're just going to ignore it. Yeah, so, I mean, it's just an intent, I think I explained, but it's an intended mechanic that they give you a momentary, like, stealth buff, even when you take out, well, first of all, when you have the barrel, like, you have a little bit of a stealth buff, and the Moblins have reduced visibility of you. But even when you take it off, the game intendedly gives you that buff for a little bit longer. However, they kind of went overkill with it, so you can just abuse it by running past them. Yes, this run has barrier skip. Barrier skip has been around for about like 4 years, I guess a little. Technically late 2019, but the version you're going to see was early 2020. So yeah, 3-4-ish years. That's going to be pretty cool. These days, it's not as much of a spectacle to the community itself, but it's still really cool to see. Randos. The barrel stuff specifically, if that's what you're talking about, I'm not entirely sure. I don't even know if you can get to FF1 in Rando, at least without some tips and tricks. Actually, they probably patched out the Lantern Moblin thing, if I had to guess. I don't think you can get to So, fun fact, Forsaken Fortress, which is this area, there's kind of 3 visits you do. This is called Forsaken Fortress 1. And this is actually its own special map. Like, the overworld does not exist. Like, if you were to try to leave, like, with the glitches to go in the water's not real, and you'll just void out. It's its own special map. FF2 and FF3 are actually on the overworld. So, if you were to go to that same quadrant right now, even if you haven't beaten FF1, it'll never be FF1. It'll be FF2 immediately, because the default overworld state is FF2. FF1 is its own map, which is why at any percent you have to go out of your way to get caught to get thrown there by a random moblin. An additional fact is you're going to notice that throughout the rest of this segment of Wind Waker and Bombs, you're not going to see the runner reload the overworld at all once. Well, hopefully, not reload the overworld once. Because fun fact, when you beat Forsaken Fortress, for some reason, the game is the overworld is put on a special layer, that being layer 0. And for some reason on layer 0, the ship, the pirate ship that we saw at the beginning of the game is still at outset. And if you're aware with the casual playthrough of this game, we eventually also get bombs from the ship. And because we got the spoils back from Ropes 1 from the ship and also got the Gossip Stone, the game has set the triggers necessary for Ropes 2 to be activated, which is where we get bombs. So we're going to hopefully go straight to outset after Wind Waker and get the bombs from there. But first we need to buy the sail at Windfall. Getting 80 rupees and then immediately sailing towards Windfall. Or not Windfall, Dragon Roost, my bad. Well, we're at Windfall and we're going to go to Dragon Roost. That's where the Wind Waker is, and that's immediately where the game's going to break open. So I guess I should start explaining storage. Also, real quick, photosensitivity warning coming in about 3 minutes, and it'll persist for about like 30 minutes, because we're going to be super swimming for about 30 minute stretch of the run. Once we get to Forsaken Fortress 2, super swimming will be done, but if you don't like looking at really fast alternating screens, I would recommend stepping out. But yeah, now Nimzo and Endvad, once they get their sails, they're going to sail towards Dragon Roost immediately. You're going to see both of them sail jump. Sail jumping's faster, because whenever you pull the sail, you get a brief boost of like speed, but it rapidly decays back to normal speed. But if you're to jump during that speed boost, you retain the speed boost until you land, and then when you land, it starts decaying again, but you can just chain it. Okay, so now I'm just going to talk about storage for like 5 years. So storage is like the most broken trick in this game. It's also the most it's the most versatile too. Like it has so many applications. We're going to see so many. There's storage, double storage, camera lock. There's chest storage. There's cutscene skips. It's all over the place. So storage, what you do is you pull the Wind Waker on a ledge, and with certain characteristics of that ledge, sometimes you can get a Wind Waker dive, which is the Wind Waker is out during a falling animation. And if you're able to cancel the Wind Waker while falling 3 frames before hitting the ground below you, you get storage. And storage is very, very complicated, so to simply put it, it's just a trick that can interact with a lot of events and have interesting outcomes. I mean, I'll explain each outcome as they happen, but the biggest one is that when you pull the Wind Waker usually, you are kind of stationary, you can't move, and the camera is locked in front of Link. And we call that camera lock, I guess. And when you pull the Wind Waker with storage, you get control of that, which is very important, because if you get in the water and hold up, Link will turn around. But because the camera is always locked in front of Link, the camera will also turn around. And then because that's happened by cause and effect, Link will turn around again, and then it'll just chain and chain and chain. And in this game, when you turn around, you get -3 speed, so we'll just super swim and gain technically infinite speed. Only limit being our air. So that's going to be pretty cool. Yes, to not more, yeah. So, in this and across, I guess most Zelda games, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, TP, Skyward Sword, there's a thing called ESS position on the stick. And I'm not going to get too crazy into detail about ESS, but yes, in this game, the better ESS you hold, the more speed you retain across the entire swim. So you lose less speed per frame. It's like a third better. Like you lose a third of the speed you would if you just hold a full stick. And now Nimzo's going to do storage, but he's not only going to do storage, he's going to do double storage and then chest storage. So it's kind of crazy to explain really quickly. But another interaction you can do is you can store text. So you're going to see him get storage, and he's going to talk to Coral, and then it allows you to get text while in movement. And then an interesting thing about text is that when you close that text, you get storage back. So a thing called double storage is where you store text, you get storage again with the text up, go into camera lock, and then you close the text. And now Nimzo not only has camera lock, but he has storage again, which is very important because this allows us to have storage during a super swim. And it has very different uses, a lot of different uses. The biggest one we're about to see, though, is it allows us to go to a chest from a different quadrant and store it. And that's a thing called chest storage. Chest storage is another crazy interaction with storage, where if you open a chest with storage, it kind of cancels the animation, and it'll be dark for a little bit. Specifically with certain types of chests, there is a dimming effect when you open it, and because you cancel it, the dimming effect never goes away. So it'll be dark until Nimzo leaves the quadrant. I'm going to kind of gloss over that. But what chest storage does is usually when you open a chest in Wind Waker, you see it link like climb in and get the item. That is because, well, to do that, the game alters your collision to allow that to happen. But because we canceled it, usually when you finish the cutscene, they put your collision back to normal. But because that didn't happen, our collision is still changed. And you'll see one interesting fact is if Nimzo hits this wooden pole, he'll get a refill. So you can get some refills in the water, and you can also clip and climb through certain collision. And we're going to see that later. So now Nimzo's going to head towards outset. And because of the special layer I mentioned earlier, the pirate ship will be there. If either runner were to drown at any point or get a void out here, the ship will be gone, and they'll have to do a backup called Great Fish to get bombs, or Great Fish cutscene skip. It is the alternative that we see in a lot of other runs due to circumstances, just faster in those runs, but it's not faster here. So bam, the pirate ship's here. That's kind of cool. And we not only because of chest storage get a refill here, but we also can climb up it, which is because of chest storage. You cannot do this normally. So bam, you can just walk up the side of the ship, and then he's here. And now this is ropes too. Endvad getting his storage. A little bit of a note: if the chew hits you, it's pretty much not run dead, but you have to go back and get storage again because for some reason, the electrocute effect will eat your storage, which is really stupid. So I've gotten past the storage explanation, thank God. There are we're gonna see a couple more applications, but it's the worst part. So yeah, you may have noticed that Nimzo opted to go to a wooden pole while Endvad's opting to go for a windfall. Hopefully he hits that. Okay, that was really close. Windfall's way easier to hit, but it makes it a little more scary because we're flying across the ocean all crazy. We're putting a lot of like stress in the game. So there's a big chance that, especially when you go to big islands like Windfall, the game will like safety reload you to like fix the game a bit. So if that happens to Endvad, it's just out of his control. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Nimzo doing ropes to you. You saw him do some quirky shenanigans to kind of parkour really quickly. It's kind of a harder version of ropes 1, but most runners are more familiar with it because more categories do it. Or a lot of categories do it, where ropes 1 is only in categories where you have to get the spoils bag, which is not that many. Oh, that's a gold for Nimzo, dang. I wasn't paying attention to his segment time, but that's pretty good. Oh wait, he has a segment time, 350. Yeah, okay, that's pretty cool. So now Nimzo and Endvad. Looks like Endvad's good, that's nice. It's always a sigh of relief to get past the bomb segment, because again, if you were to mess up at all significantly enough to reload the overworld, with that being like entering a loading zone, drowning, voiding out, you will not be able to get this ship. And again, there is an alternative, but it loses a lot of time. So thankfully both runners got their bombs correctly. Now Nimzo's going to get the leaf, as well as Endvad, once he gets his bombs. That's the next item on the list. We're kind of in the second phase of the run, the first being intro, like tutorial stuff we have to do up to Wind Waker. Once you get the Wind Waker, it's a lot of super swim just to collect all the items we need in Overworld, and then third phase, we immediately just go to endgame. So now Nimzo got double storage. That's because we want to eat a cutscene coming up. When you go to major islands, there's always a panning shot. And those panning shots like to take control of the camera, and they don't finish until they pan. But camera lock is a very picky and greedy thing, so if we were to super swim there normally, camera lock would never get rid of control of the camera, and the camera would never pan, and thus the cutscene would never end, and we would soft lock. So we get double storage to have storage in camera lock. And as you're about to see, he'll just eat the cutscene instead of starting it. He'll kind of like sploosh to a random point, or seemingly random point, but that's where the cutscene starts. So that's him eating the cutscene, and he is not soft locked. And now he's going to clip into Forest Haven and then get the leaf. hopefully. Last match, she had some trouble with the leaf hover, which we'll see momentarily. But I believe doing a bomb clip, and you're gonna notice you get damage down in the octo, and Endvad will do the same. That's to prepare for a thing called the leaf hover. For those familiar or not familiar, I think zombie hovering is a pretty popular trick. Not necessarily to do, but just notoriety. It's pretty infamous, I guess. In this game, when you die and you're knocked down, usually when you land, like land, and you're standing up, you die frame 1 if you have no health. When you're in a get up animation, there's a 10 frame window to input a jump attack, and should you do that, you'll jump attack, but the game will realize, oh, he's dead, cancel the jump attack. But for that 1 frame where it is out, you actually gain height, and if you're able to chain it fast enough, you can gain infinite height, which is kind of cool. Coming up is a trick called Deckardry cutscene skip. I believe Nimzo's going to go for it. I think and last time Endvad opted to not go for it, which is fine, because it only saves 50 seconds, and it loses 2 minutes to fail, about a little under. So there's a cutscene usually, so before the leaf, when you kill the chews on this dude. However, that's kind of a long cutscene, so one thing we can do is we can get storage, bonk the tree, put the chews in a weird state, where you can push them, but you can't kill them. And you can push them out of bounds, and they'll fall out into the void and eventually despawn. And that despawning is actually counts as killing them, so now we can push them all out except one, and we can kind of time when the cutscene starts, which is kind of important. So Nimzo's going to get storage again. And what's going to happen is he's going to time the last chew getting pushed out, and he's going to walk towards the Deckardry's chin. And because he has a second storage, what's going to happen is he's going to time it so that the two overlap, that being when the cutscene starts and when he gets crushed. So the cutscene's gonna start, but because he has storage, the environment will still play out. Like usually when a cutscene starts, the game will freeze and you can't move. But he'll have a brief period where he can move and the environment still moves. And then once the cutscene starts, the chin will come down and crush him. And because he gets crushed as the cutscene is starting, it kind of like cancels out and he gets to skip the cutscene, which is really cool. So hopefully we see that. This chew looks kind of funky. Nimzo should get closer. I don't know if you can hear me. I think closer. This kind of just looks like a bad chew. Like a closer side hop as opposed to, I think he's going farther each time to adjust. Oh, there you go. Yeah, he's the runner right now. He got this. So yeah, now he's running towards the tree, and he's going to hopefully time it so that he gets crushed at the right time. I think that looked good. Yes, that is A-okay. Cool. Link standing up, that's how you know you got it. You can also hear the Koroks. So now the cutscene was skipped, and the leaf is now spawned. And now he's damaged down, and he's going to do the leaf hover. Because, fun fact, we cannot get the leaf normally because there are a bunch of bulbs you have to go up, but there's one grapple check. And we don't have the grapple. Oh, unfortunately, failing to lift off for the zombie hover. I just realized in his PB, he loses like a little under 2 minutes. So I wonder if he had similar issues. But that means that he could PB by quite a bit if he just nailed the leaf hover. So yeah, he's going to have to re-damage down. Endvad about to start his little chew battle. Yeah, liftoff is one of the scarier parts of speedruns. So depending on how you do it. I personally mash it. A couple runners mash it. Some people time it. It's just really unfortunate to fail because it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to have just once. Like, you have a 3-frame window after pressing the A button, hit the B button once, and then you just have to hit the B button really fast. But sometimes it's kind of hard to get it going. Oh, nice! Endvad's opting to go for cutscene skip this time. That's really cool. I believe yesterday he did not opt to go for it, so it's cool to see him go for it this time. Hopefully it goes well. This is one of the more annoying tricks in the fact where it's pretty easy to do, but there's a lot going on, and it's really easy for the game to kind of screw you over and make it a lot harder for you. Like, if you choose going the directions they go is not random, but for the most part, out of runner control. Like, if we would have to go out of our way to make sure So you need some chews on the right. So and Nimzo getting the lift off this time. That's cool. Unfortunately, losing some time, but still looking good so far. Luckily, it was a failed liftoff and not a failed hover, because Nimzo twice yesterday failed the hover at the very end. So, in contrast, failing at the start once is not so bad in comparison. And this hover here is probably considered the hardest part of this category, just physically demanding. And a little more involved hover, because you have to kind of not mash too fast, ironically, to grind up this tree. But looking good for Nimzo. Endvad's cutscene skip looking good? I didn't hear the... I have Nimzo's audio on. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, you got it too. Nice. I'll put both audio on just so I can hear both, although that might be kind of crazy. Yeah, cool. Nimzo got his leaf. Oh my god, wait, there's... Oh, he has a different setup. Okay, I was about to say, if he's doing the setup I do, like, I don't even know if he could bash fast enough, but he did a little bit of a slight adjustment for the leaf over here. Cool to see. And now, since we have leaf, the next objective is quiver. So Nimzo's immediately gonna get double storage again on beetle. This is kind of annoying because the beetle, the barrel oscillates, so technically, the storage is a different timing every time, which is kind of annoying. So it's never truly consistent, but it's doable. And once we get double storage, we're going to get a chest southeast from here and go towards the quiver, because we're going to get chest storage and clip through the fairy island, which is kind of cool. So he got storage now in the last possible text box. That's cool. We're going to get quiver only. So quiver, it's a quiver upgrade. It's not the bow and arrows. To gain this quiver will not let us use the bow and arrow. However, we're going to get light arrows later. But similarly, light arrows alone does not let you use bow and arrow. However, together, you can use bow and arrow. So that's why we have to go stop and get quiver. Because we do need to use light arrows in this category to win. So, at the wrong raft. I believe it is one more clockwise. Hopefully you can fix that. Yeah, you can see it in his background. Endvad landing on the leaf, hopefully in a couple seconds. You can miss it, kind of unfortunate, but nice, they both got it. Pretty close race. They're about a little under 2 minutes apart. Nimzo now having chest storage when I was swim towards Thorn Ferry, which is quite far away. He's going to probably stop and get a refill. Luckily with chest storage is an easy refill at these pointy pillars right here at 5-star. Just touch them and get a refill. And then he will just ESS walk into the fairy island and then will clip into it, which is kind of cool. And then quiver is kind of the last overworld item we need. So the moment both runners get quiver, it's kind of a beeline to Forsaken Fortress to get to the end of the game. Because beating Forsaken Fortress 2 takes you to Hyrule 2. Kind of funny, they're both numbered, but there's also 3 visits to Hyrule. And technically, beating FF2 takes you to the second visit of Hyrule, because in the game, this is kind of, you're supposed to have already visited Hyrule when you go to FF2. Hyrule 1 being, you go there after beating Tot G, which is Tower of the Gods, but we don't do that here. In this category. So yeah, basically our goal now is just to go to Forsaken Fortress as quickly as possible. Endvad finding his raft as well. Hits the correct one quickly. Nice. And we'll now head towards Thorn Ferry. Nimzo at Thorn Ferry needs to get storage to leave, and there's not very many options. However, this is peg here. You get a thing called peg storage. You roll at it, pull the windbreaker at a pretty precise timing, and you get a dive. And then B button. It's kind of a more advanced storage. It's more of a muscle memory execution test at the end of the day. Like it's pretty easy when you're familiar with it, but it looks pretty scary. But it's just lack of familiarity that's the hardest thing about it, because it's not something that's too common. Yeah, that was a clean swim. He's zooming. And now Nimzo will head towards Oasis, specifically only for chest storage. It's just the most convenient one to get, mostly considering distance because of no refill. Like, theoretically, we could go back to Crescent and reuse that chest, because it's a special chest that, if it was a wooden chest, like the one that we just stored, it would be used. But those, like, Dark World chests are reusable. But it's just more. There's a Dark World chest here, in fact. We'll see again, but it's just more convenient to come here. So he's gonna get double storage again with the Ho-Ho chest, or Ho-Ho NPC right here. Old man Ho-Ho. And we'll then use that to store this text up here. Or not text, the chest. And then we'll just use that to go to Forsaken Fortress, where we'll see the most egregious use of chest storage. So usually at Forsaken Fortress, you have to, like, go through Phantom Ganon, a bunch of hammer pegs, a bunch of rooms, to, like, proceed to the end. Kind of similar to what we did at Hoof 1, we went through a lot of rooms. But with chest storage, we can just completely scale the outside, which is kind of funny. And we'll see that in a moment. So now Nimzo is just swimming to Forsaken Fortress. Endvad coming up in his peg storage. Hopefully goes well. It's kind of a little gimmicky sometimes. And he will do the same, going towards Oasis and getting chest storage on FF1. Usually, in my experience, when you don't get the dive, it's because you're going late on the dive. So usually you want to go earlier. Now he's getting it. He just has to cancel the dive at the right time, which can be kind of tricky. Nimzo got a refill at 6i and will now go to a specific corner in the outside of Forsaken Fortress. And then clip inside because he has just... Whoa, what the... I think he accidentally turned around. Luckily, honestly, not the end of the world. Killed his speed, so he has a lot finer control. And he will now clip inside this corner because of chest storage. And then walk up the walls. What the heck? Why was he under the water for so long? That was weird. Endvad coming up in Oasis. I think he's fine. Actually, no. He can be neutral boosted. If he neutral boosts... Oh, God. Yeah, I don't think that's going to count as him being there. Wait, this could be bad. Wait, did he save? I hope he saved. I didn't pay attention if he save warped. Oh, no. He has to do Quiver again. I don't know if he truly understood that when he save warped. But he didn't not. So you can either save warp or walk out of. I think if I were him, I would reload Beetle. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but the Beetle walked away too far. Yeah, I think he's gonna reload. Nice. So usually you either save warp or walk out of Thorn Fairy. If you save warp, then if you were to fail to swim like what just happened, you could reload the save back to at least after you got Quiver. But it is faster just to walk out, so both runners opted to walk out. But if you were to make a mistake like this, you end up in a situation like Endvad. I don't know off the top of my head where that leaves you. Like, I don't know where Coral was when Endvad spawned back on him. But I think it would have been worth to check it out at the very least. Yeah, I kind of missed it with what happened, but Nimzo kind of just walked up the side of that Forsaken Fortress, and he's now in the Helmrock fight. However, we do not have the hammer to do the Helmrock fight, so it's like, how are we going to kill Helmrock? We're not. We're going to skip Helmrock. There are many, many ways to do Helmrock skip, but the primary way we see in a lot of more modern categories is a kind of clip on a certain ledge. So we're gonna grab onto a specific corner of collision, and then we'll just clip through. So with precise grab, specifically with critical health, in this game, when you have a heart and a half or less, you have critical health, you know that the heart beeps, and for some reason, your collision is like very, 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 very slightly altered. It's like not, you can't do anything crazy with it, but it does have an effect on certain clips being possible, such as this one. And bomb push when Raker dives, which I don't think we see in this category at all. Yeah. That's my fun fact of the day. Now Nimzo's gonna walk up the, I guess, spiral, and then do his clip. Yesterday he had a bit of trouble with this clip. Hopefully it goes well today. Endvad back at Quiver, almost back to where he was. I believe if he neutral boosted, he would have hit the island. What I mean by neutral boost is, in this game, ESS swimming is superior in control, but it's inferior in potential speed compared to the old school method of neutral swimming. Neutral swimming, in this game, when you transfer from like neutral to like not neutral, you lose a bunch of speed. So you either want to be in one or the other and just stay there. But in neutral swimming, to turn, you need to leave neutral, which means you lose a lot of speed. So to get finer control, we do ESS swimming nowadays. However, just by nature, ESS swimming kind of uses less of our actual speed. So we travel at less speed, but lose less speed. So overall, it's a win-win. It wins out eventually. But with neutral swimming, you lose speed a little bit quicker, but you move at more of your potential speed. So what you can do as a little tip and trick is that when you have low air, that also affects your speed. So at low air, you just also move at lower of your actual speed. So if you just realize the fact that you're already going at lower and you don't really need to retain anymore because you're at the end of the swim, if you just go to neutral, you will lose some speed, but hopefully you don't lose that much. And you also get a boost because you're moving at more of your potential speed that ends up winning out at the lower air. So it's always good to go to neutral at the end of swims, should you be able to, because you'll get a speed boost and it might clutch out close situations like that. You'll see a lot of runners do it at the end of swims, even if they don't have to, because it just gives a little boost and is faster. So Endvad going for take 2 in the swim, looking a lot better, I think, speed-wise. Heck yeah. He's zooming. And he's gonna slide to the spot. Oh my god. Crazy. That's ideally what you want to do. It's kind of hard. I'm not going to explain in super detail, but the angle direction that you pull Wind Waker, like camera angle, affects the controls of camera lock on the ground. It's really hard to explain unless you actually have felt it before, but your controls do change. And sliding like that can be kind of hard if you don't do it the right way. Luckily, he got it. We'll store his chest and head towards Forsaken Fortress. Kind of glossed over it, but Nimzo did his Helmrock skip and is now beating Forsaken Fortress, and he will now go to Hyrule, where he will do Barrier Skip. Oh boy, the sun is rising. It's pretty early for me, but I am here. So yeah, there's a couple cutscenes for Nimzo. Similarly, once Endvad gets here and beats Forsaken Fortress, there'll be a couple cutscenes, and then eventually you'll be at Hyrule. No, in real life. However, usually for me in this run, at this point in this swim for Forsaken Fortress, the sun also rises for me. I don't know if that's like because I'm consistently bad up to that point, or if I'm consistently fast, or just consistent. But for me, whenever I get to the reef, like where Endvad is right now, the sun always rises for me in the game, which is kind of funny. There's probably a lot of factors, like maybe a bad bomb split, but then good everything else leads to that. Or maybe a bad everything leads to that. Who knows? Now, Endvad hitting his spot. It's kind of tricky because you get stuck to everything when you have chest storage. So it's kind of hard. Usually you slide off things when you swim. Luckily you got a random refill. MSS is manual super swim. It's the... So you've seen a lot of super swims like what Endvad's doing right now. Because in the start of the game we don't have Wind Waker. You need Wind Waker to do these super swims, to start them at least. You can do a manual one at the start of the game with a bunch of pausing. I think you might be familiar with the pausing at a million times at the start of the game. That's MSS, to not get into the nitty-gritty of it. But basically we just need to pause a bunch of times and turn around manually to gain speed instead of have it automatically done for us. And now with that, there's officially no more super swims in the run, so no more spooky screens anymore. So now there will be no more crazy alternating or flashing screens. Unless somehow either runner like reloads their save for some reason. So yeah, Nimzo is now in Hyrule. He's immediately gonna head towards the barrier and do barrier skip. So barrier skip, it's just a free trick. It's that easy. Oh wait, actually, yeah, Endvad might go for a swim here. Actually, he did it yesterday. Hold on, hold the phone. Didn't go so well yesterday, but he did go for it. Okay, I'll take back my remark until after this cutscene, and we'll see. So one more super swim, maybe. Yeah, he went for it yesterday. It didn't go. Like he gave up after a bit. I don't know why he went for it. I mean, it's swag, but whenever I used to try to go for it, and I would always lose time. It saves what, like 6 seconds. It's stupid. Yeah, so barrier skip. There's a knockback portion and an actual physical barrier. To get rid of the knockback portion, you want to pull Wind Waker in the last frame of your knockback invulnerability, and then you will kind of cancel it, such as Nimzo has done. And now barrier skip. All it really is in essence is just using a bomb to dropping a bomb and having it push you to the seam. So we're getting in a very precise position and angle, and then we're going to drop a bomb in a very specific animation frame because that matters. You see Link like kind of sways when he has a bomb out. And if we combine all three of those, we drop the bomb. When you drop the bomb, it kind of like shoves Link because actors like push Link away, and similarly, Link pushes actors like pots, trees, bushes. So you can get a dive off of them. And if you do it all correctly, like Nimzo just did, it's like, whoa, he just went through the barrier. Very easy. It looks very daunting. And a lot of people, when they come to the Discord for the first time, they always have this idea that barrier tricks are very hard and impossible. But I am here to stop that. I will spread my propaganda. Barrier skip is a very simple trick. However, it is very daunting to learn. But once you learn it, it's really not that crazy. It's just very precise, so it's kind of hard to get used to. But I promise you, it's no different than any other trick. In fact, I'd argue a lot of tricks are harder. Like Leaf Hover. And yes, Nimzo does spin the camera. I was talking to him about that. He didn't like the visual cue of the normal the other way. So he chose to spin it the other way. I mean, it leads to the same result. It's kind of funny, though. Kind of took me back when I first saw him do it. I was like, what the heck? So now Endvad going towards his Helm Rock skip, and Nimzo going towards his Trial skip. So there's a bunch of trials here. They're stupid. They're slow. They're lame. A bunch of bosses we've never seen. We can't even beat them if we wanted to. We don't have items. So what Nimzo's going to do is do a roll clip on this ledge over here. Roll clip being that if you are partially clipped into a ledge, which Nimzo's about to do by grabbing it specifically, there's a one-frame window to roll, and you'll just clip through the collision. And hopefully gets it first try? Unfortunately. So yeah, it's kind of precise. And specifically this roll clip, it's a universal trick out of most ledges, if you're able to partial clip, but this one's kind of annoying to retry, because you have to grab it in this way. Oh yeah, he's doing the Helm Rock swim. I just realized. Oh my god. Please, slide. Be free. Okay, he got a good start. As long as he can figure out his control scheme, he should be good. Oh, I think he got it. Now he has to carefully spin his stick slowly. That's so cool. And because he has speed too, like HD. Oh no! You know, that was still cool. That was still swag points. He because he wasn't holding ESS, he was losing speed a lot, and I guess he didn't have as much as we thought, so it just died out eventually. He still got pretty decent. He was pretty dang close to being at the top. I'll call that a win in my book. Yeah, Nimzo did trial skip. Wait, what the? Wait, did Nimzo go in and out of that door? Am I crazy? I could have sworn like he came from, like he came from that door and then went back in, but I wasn't paying attention. I don't know what happened, but either way, Nimzo is now getting light arrows. There's a maze here. It's the same path every time. So he's just gonna do the path. It's back, left, straight, left, right, straight. And then at the end, well, I wouldn't say that just yet. Because, fun fact, even with the gap that we see right now, it is still very possible that Endvad could still win. And we will see why soon. Although, statistically, hopefully it doesn't happen. But it can happen. But there is RNG at the end of the run. But I would refrain from calling it just yet. You never know. Also, Nimzo could just make mistakes before the RNG, too. You never know. And also, Endvad is on, I believe he's on PP pace. I can't tell what his best possible time is. Don't know if he has best possible time on his splits. Doesn't seem so I don't know. And I'm too dumb to guesstimate. Pup again skip is in this game. It's a little different. There's a hover. There's also, well, the hovers the SD and HD do are also different comparatively, and similarly the pot snipe is also different comparatively, a little bit. In this category, pup again skip is banned, so they will not be doing it. They'll be fighting PG. However, they will still be doing the warp pot shot, which is one of the PG skip methods. Just we'll be doing it from a different position after PG, but because of that, there's still RNG. Because we still need to do that same warp pot shot. So now Nimzo is killing the enemies on the grand staircase to open the door, and then he will start pupping at him. Endvad finishing FF2 will come up on barrier skip. And I'm pretty I can't recall what his pace is. I guess I can guesstimate. So Nimzo's pace is a 119. This is too much maths. 4 minutes. 7 minutes. 8, 9. Yes, he could still PB. I think he can like 128 or 129, I think. If my calculations are correct. Although don't take my word on that. Because I did some very rough numbers. So thanks for the raid, Runus. This is manual not manual super swim. This is no manual super swim tournament for Wind Waker. Vanilla. Speedruns. And it's about to be a cool boss fight. So basically, how this works is usually there's a tail and we cut it down with the boomerang, the strings, and we shoot it, at least in like a casual playthrough. However, we don't have boomerang, and also that's slow, even if we did have boomerang, so we're just going to shoot it because we're cool. Although we might not always hit it. So basically, we're just gonna snipe. There's 3 phases. Phase 1 is usually the hardest for a speedrun because you have to like clearly snipe the tail. The other 2 you can kind of. Phase 2 you just have a clear shot. There's crypt shot, which you hit it twice, but that's still also consistent. And phase 3 you also have to snipe sometimes, but you can also just like stun it, and then that makes it pretty easy. But this one there's really no clear option. Nimzo is ahead in PG. He's ahead by like maybe like 7 minutes, 8 minutes, and is also up on game 1 of this best of 3. So for Nimzo to win, it will be the match will be over. However, as I've alluded to, there is RNG after this fight, and I think Nimzo actually lost like 7-8 minutes anyways last time to RNG. So it's still possible that either runner could win, assuming that Endvad got really good RNG on his go, and Nimzo got really bad RNG. I think that's 2 of the shots. Nimzo is kind of low on magic. If I were him, I think, okay, yeah, he's gonna wait for the spin to get Keith's magic, which I think he didn't really have much of a choice. Not too big of a deal. Are you kidding? 1 magic? That's really unlucky. Oh, you got 2. Oh, no, you got 1. Never mind. Maybe noticing, Endvad's doing a different setup for barrier skip. There are like 4 mainstream setups for barrier skip, all different varying difficulties and speeds. This is one of the more beginner-friendly setups, alongside Gymnast's dry roll setup. A little bit slower, but a little more consistent on the positioning. And we'll see if he can get the bomb push. However, Nimzo is now going on to phase 2. We'll go for Crypt Shot here. Didn't get it, unfortunately, so he's going to have to still hit 2 more times. Also, that would have been... he's fine. He needs magic, though. There you go. Ooh, lots of magic. He might be able to grab that one after, too. I don't know if it'll be there still, but I don't know if we'll have enough time. After the fact. And plus, I think he just wants to shoot anyways. Oh, another magic fail over there, too. That's funny. Grab it, Nimzo. There's a magic to your left. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need it. Nimzo had a pretty good fight himself, too. I guess phase 1 was kind of a little slow, but for the most part, that was a really good phase 2 and 3. So yeah, now Nimzo will be doing the RNG section. So how this is going to work is there's a warp pot at the top. There are 3 layers of platforms. We can climb up to the lowest one, and there's 2 grapple checks to get to the next 2. There is a grapple skip for the first time to get to the second section, but there is no way to get to the third section with the grapple skip. In a similar vein, so we had to break the warp pot somehow. There's 2 ways to do it. You can either do the hover backup, which I mentioned, which is consistent, but a little bit slower, or if you shoot, there's 2 morphs next to the warp pot, and you can shoot a fire arrow at them through the ground, and they will catch on fire. And if they bounce into the warp pot, it'll burn the lid, and it'll count as breaking the pot. However, the way in which the morphs bounce are RNG, and the odds are roughly 1 in 5 for each morph, but in total for the both morphs that we can attempt out of the 3, because the third one it's not in a good position, it ends up being like a 1 in 5, a 1 in 5 chance of it burning. So you're gonna see Nimzo line up seemingly randomly. You'll hear the morph die if you have audio on for Nimzo, or you have the stream audio on. And every time he tries, you just gotta hope that the pot burns. And if it does work, you'll see a cutscene. But oh wow, you got it. So that's what it looks like. That's significantly better than last time. I think last time he got it 9th try. This one was 2nd try, so that's a lot better. So that was like a 1 in 3 chance of happening. Kind of cool. And now all Nimzo has to do is do Morph Hover and not die again. And he will be done. Endvad going for trial skip. I believe if this fails, he'll need to get some magic. Oh, hell yeah. These pause, dude, I love this. I know the frame myself. Ah, it's unfortunate. So yeah, Nimzo is doing a glitch with the Morse, or attempting to. I mean, that's a difficult trick. It's no big deal. I mean, it's a frame perfect roll clip, so I mean, it's fine. It's a speed run. People make mistakes sometimes. Nimzo has made many mistakes on his end too. So yeah, what Nimzo is attempting to do is slash the Morph at a specific position so that he kills it and attaches to him at the same time. I'm kind of having some trouble doing so. And should he do that, it'll be stuck to him but dead. And the reason why you want to do this is that Morths only drop hearts when they're killed by a sword. But we need to get a Morth up there and kill it with a bow and arrow so that we can drop a heart and heal off of a hover. But how do you do that if it only drops a heart with a sword? Well, we do this weird glitch where we kill it with the sword and then attach it to us so we can kill it again. And for some reason, it remembers the first time it died to a sword. So it just drops a heart no matter what you do. Nimzo grabbing a safety Morth. We'll see why in a bit. But now he's going to leaf this pseudo-dead Morth that he now has up to the top ledge up here, because I kind of glossed over this, but you cannot get up there normally because you need a hook shot to be able to do that, so we have to hover up. So once he gets his Morth up, he's going to get it into the corner, kill it, initiate a hover because he's at quarter heart, and then he's just going to land on the heart, hopefully, if everything goes well. Endvad still having some issues with trial skip. There is another method of trial skip. I forgot if you went for it yesterday. I don't remember. But there's like also a ledge clip. It's a little bit slower, but a lot easier. Got the clip, nice. And as long as he leaf pumps. Oh, he did this yesterday. I remember now. And now, unfortunately, Fang will leaf pump. You do have to leaf pump good to make it there. Nimzo, seeing the hover, because he has a morph with them, he can now kill it again and get an extra heart for the boss fight. So that's really cool. Ganondorf does 1 heart of damage per hit, and usually if you don't get a safety heart, you have 1 heart, so that means if you get hit once, you die. Which shouldn't happen. It's a pretty quick fight and pretty, I guess, just a systematic fight, but you never know. So it's no big deal to just grab an extra heart real quick. And it seems Nimzo, assuming he doesn't die, is set to win this one. Yes, Tingle Tuner is allowed. It just has no. It's not worth it for anything in this category. Like, there's nothing that it makes faster. Well, I mean, it might make some minor things faster, but for the time sink it takes to get it, it would definitely not be worth it. It takes about a minute to get Tuner, and then takes an additional like 20 seconds to turn on. And then you also need money to use the items, which is another thing. So unless you want to, I imagine in this category, you would want to use like a balloon or something, if anything, to make a small thing faster, and that costs 30 rupees. And as you can see, Endvad on his screen only has 20 at this point. So we'd have to go out of our way to get more rupees. So it's just not worth it for anything. Any percent doesn't get Tuner. All dungeons and 100% do use Tuner. I don't think Bug Limit uses Tuner. But yeah, all dungeons and Hondo make pretty significant use of the Tuner. Not as much Hondo. It's more so just buying magic and some balloons, but AD goes the full mile and super abuses a lot of the Tuner stuff. So it's a cutscene for Nimzo before Ganondorf. I guess to explain Ganondorf, it's a 3-phase fight. They are progressed by damage thresholds, so the first 2 phases you're just trying to do enough damage to move on to the next one. And then the last one is just redirecting a light arrow at him, and then that should just be GG, hopefully. Yes, you could catch the end. But hopefully Nimzo with 2 hearts. Should not die. It's pretty safe 2 hearts. And usually, there's only ever fear of getting hit in the first phase, because that's the one where you put yourself in the splash zone for the most, trying to beat it fast. Endvad getting his light arrows, coming up on Pup again, and I don't know if he can PB. Let me do the rough cut. I don't. Let's see. 2 minutes, 14 minutes. Pup again is like 5.5. Like 8, 9. It'll be close. He pretty much has to play perfect and get good RNG to be able to PB, which, I mean, the game must decide that, not us. The RNG will decide. Not even he can decide. Yeah, the cutscene's about to end for Nimzo. And we'll see him do a pretty quick phase 1. There is a 1 cycle, but it's kind of spooky. And I guess because he has 2 hearts, it wouldn't be that spooky, but most runners opt to do a slightly slower strat. It's still pretty fast. He's going to do 3 quick spins, talk to Zelda, stab, talk to Zelda. Every time you talk to Zelda, she'll shoot an arrow really quickly, as long as she doesn't get interrupted. And it makes it go by pretty quickly for the damage threshold. Also, for a light arrow to hit Ganon, it needs to be behind him. If he's in front of it, he'll dodge it. So you'll see Nimzo kind of positioned in such a way that he'll be facing him. Ganon will be facing away from Zelda. So you're coming up, 3 quick spins. Talks to Zelda, backs up, takes damage from the barrier. Oh, he got hit from Ganon. He should just get away. Brother. Oh, okay. For some reason, Ganon just didn't attack. Usually he could attack a lot faster there, so that was kind of scary. But now Nimzo does have 1 heart. If he gets hit one more time, he is dead and has to do more cover again. Why the heck did Ganon kick? That is very confusing to me. I've never seen that before. Usually Ganon only kicks when one of his like wind-up attacks in that combo right there hits your shield. He'll then opt to kick instead of jump. However, Nimzo was nowhere near, so I don't know why Ganon kicked. Maybe it was some water shenanigans from the waterfall. He can't get stuck in them. It's kind of funny. So now Nimzo's on phase 3. He needs to talk to Zelda. Zelda will start shooting arrows at him. I think Nimzo's having trouble with it's kind of funky. Zelda has a pretty long trigger or like area for the thing, but sometimes it doesn't work. And with that, Nimzo is finished now. GG's to Nimzo. So that is him finishing in first place in this race with a time of 1:20.52. So that in regards of the match itself, that is GG for Nimzo. So, with this being the losers bracket, unfortunately, Endvad is out of the tournament. However, Nimzo will be moving on and versing the winner of PK Slam versus Zor 2000. And that'll be happening at the end of the month. However, I think Endvad can still PB, so we'll see how it goes. Also, I failed to mention, there's a prize pool for first, second, third, but there's also a fourth prize pool for worst to Morth RNG. So technically, Endvad can continue to Morth at least and see how bad RNG he can get. And technically, if he gets the worst RNG, he takes that spot. Right now, the worst attempt so far is 14 tries by Zelkies, I think? Remember at the top of my head? It's someone. But yeah. So maybe. But that's GG's for Nimzo. It's kind of cool. Proceeded to the second text box. That is a rule we have to make sure that there's no cheaters, even though everyone's pretty cool here. But money involved. We'll do that extra step. Yeah, it's GG's to Nimzo. He moves on to losers round 3. Is it? I think Endvad was 13, but then Zelki's got 14. I think I remember because I had to verify a bunch of his positions because he was moving. And it ended up mattering. I think it was Endvad before, though. But yeah, I guess to get a kind of a while we're waiting for Endvad to do PG, because phase 2 is kind of nothing too much going crazy.
Voilà, voilà. Ok, ok,
Some
cool.
matches coming
Bah
up.
GG, franchement GG.
So in the losers bracket, we have PK versus Zor, J-Wist versus C Dragoneer, and Gobbity Bobbity versus Eric. Some pretty tough matchups right there. I think the one I'm most interested in is J-West versus Dragoneer. If Dragoneer's been playing the game, I know he was playing some like Mario games recently, so I don't know if he's been practicing as much. And then the winners bracket in round 3, which will happen soon-ish, is Gymnast versus Aloha, which I think will be very, very interesting. I think, in my mind, they're both very consistent, but Jim is a little more consistent in MSS. However, Aloha's peaks are way better. Wait a minute, Zora's PBs? Oh, damn, that's gonna be close. I did not know that. I thought maybe he posted some PBs, but it was I always because he does any percent too. So maybe I just like didn't read it properly and thought it was like an any percent PB or something. That's it. Okay, that'll be close too. Yeah. And then the other winners match would be me versus Mini. Uh, I might just get wiped, man. I'll be real. I'll keep it real with you guys. Mini is number 1 seed and is crazy. I don't know. I mean, I can go look at what Zora's PB is real quick. But yeah, Zora, where? Am I crazy or is? Zora's on any percent. I don't think I could see him on no MSS. I don't know what his PB is. Yeah, Endvad just finishing PG. And we'll see about the RNG. Yeah, I don't think he can PB anymore, but Morth RNG is always worth a check out. But yeah, as I was saying, Mini versus I. Unless I practice and improve my consistency a bunch, that's going to be quite interesting for me getting taken out pretty. I feel like Vinny's going to have to mess up a bit for me. Maybe he will. But yeah, we're coming up on some pretty exciting matches towards the end of the tournament as more and more really good runners have to go against each other. So Envad's now going for his RNG. We'll see how it goes. It'd be kind of funny if he got first try, because then you can't go for the worst RNG anymore. Although if he does get first try, I think he can actually PB. Oh, unfortunate. Wait, that's kind of I've never seen it fail like that in quite some time. So sometimes you can mess up the setup a little bit, and you will lose. You will like just not clip, but it was messed up in such a way that he voided out, which is something you can do if you just walk into it, but that was kind of interesting. So he clipped this time, and he's going to go for his shots. Hopefully, actually, hopefully doesn't get it, so we can get the sick PB of Morths. So he got second try. That's kind of funny. I think Nimzo also got second try. He can PB now. Well, actually, 32, 5. Okay, actually, I don't think he can PB, but he might opt to finish just to finish, which is no biggie, I think. He's damaging now from North Hover, and we'll see how that goes. No interview from Nimzo, I think, because Nimzo does not use mic. But maybe he can like type messages to me and like we can speak to him from the great beyond. Nimzo, are you out there? Yeah, so he's just leafing this morph, getting it up to the ledge at a quarter heart, ready to start the hover. Hopefully goes well. And then we'll be in Ganondorf. No, I don't think it could PB. Because what, 4? Yeah, the cutscene takes like 4 minutes itself. Hello, Nimzo. Any words? Any thoughts, comments, concerns? Ideas? I think the biggest mistake you made is you failed liftoff. I think that was the biggest mistake. I could be misremembering. But even so, it was a lot better than last time. Yeah, even the hover itself, it was at the very beginning, so way better than yesterday where you failed it twice at the end. Endvad starting his hover. Good liftoff. Heart's there, should land it, hopefully. And then we'll be off to the races. Although he does not have a safety marth, so he will have to fight Ganon without getting hit. Oh yeah, what was that? I thought I saw that, but then I was like, what? Because I was looking at Endvad and that happened. And then I was like confused on what, like, how that happened to you. Like, did you just like turn around and open the door? Like, that had to have been what happened. You thought you had already fallen down. I'm not sure. Oh, you thought you were in the maze already? I see. I see. Well, you know, at least there's some reasoning in that. So yeah, now that you've won the match, you'll go against the winner of PK and Zor. This is the start of this bracket, loser bracket round. So no other matches have happened yet or been scheduled, to my knowledge. But you guys got yours out the way early. Endvad is just to watch this cutscene. They'll be done in about 3 minutes, a little under 3 minutes. And then we'll have to fight Ganon. Hopefully he finishes. Yeah, he failed the swim to Oasis, and you guys both like opted to walk out, which is faster than save warp out of Thorn Fairy. So because he walked out, didn't save, he reloaded his save and went back to before Quiver. So he had to do Quiver again. I'm not sure where Coral even puts you in that situation. I'd have to like go check, but I guess it was the right play, but because I don't know where you go. Or where you even would go. My guess is you are...
je serais le français à être allé le plus loin dans le tournoi. Faut se dire ça aussi.
I feel like you would be like at like Eastern Triangle or something. Which in that case you probably would... I mean, I don't know. Who knows? He might also have not let you sail, but then either way he would have taken you somewhere. Yeah, Endvad's cutscene about to end coming up, and then we'll see his Ganon fight.
Voilà, j'ai déjà PB depuis 1 minute, donc là le PB est mort, on va juste finir pour le beau jeu. S'entraîner à Ganon aussi.
Kind of cool seeing our bracket getting more and more complete. With the pace we're going at, well, hopefully some of these later rounds with less matches won't take the whole 2 weeks that we've allotted for the deadline. Because soon we're getting to the point where it's like there's not as many matches. But hopefully we're done by end of March. Because this is the best of 3, it's taking a little bit longer. But so far, we've been pretty good on restreams and pretty good on getting matches done in the appropriate time. Haven't had to deal with any scallywags being like late to like an unreasonable extent. So pretty well run tournament so far. Shout outs to the people participating. Shout outs to the commentators that have commentated so far. And shout out to the organizers, which is me, Minnie, and Woofer's EFG has also helped a little bit in some of the kind of logistics of how the tournament was run, some advice. Other notable commentators are Minnie and Mac, I think have been the most off the top of my head.
S'il te plaît.
Mac was with me yesterday for the later half. I think Haley also commentated, PK commentated. I don't remember anyone else.
J'espère bien, c'est le cas. Ok.
But I'm doing the early shift today. And then, oh god. Is this phase 3? Yeah, this is phase 3. Oh my god. Okay, that should be easy, friends.
Let's go.
That was spoopy. And bam.
Let's go.
Time end. So that is it for this match. Pretty cool. Unfortunately for Endvad, that'll be it from him for this tournament. However, speedrunning can continue for him.
Okay,
he can just continue to do no MSS. And hopefully we'll continue to do so.
Alrighty. So yeah. That was it, huh?
Yep, that is it for this one. No game 3.
No game 3 indeed. Super short. We don't have much time for an interview, but I'm still gonna offer it to Endvad because he came in yesterday, so maybe he wants to come in today as well. Obviously don't want to take that away from him. There we go. Hey, GG.
Hi, thanks. Okay, I don't know if Nimzo was so strong this run, this race.
Yeah, he cleaned up his leaf segment a little bit.
Yes.
Avoided his mistakes. He'd still failed to hover once, but not as bad as yesterday.
Yes. My chance was yesterday, not today.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yes. I really wasn't feeling that. My moves were not fine, and they're all same, I think. I tried, but yeah, I finished the one.
Yeah, you finished.
Yes, I finished.
And I think the biggest mistake was probably just having to redo Quiver again, but even then it wasn't that bad. Like, yes. Had Nimzo not gotten good luck, it could have been as close as yesterday. But he got, I think, second try.
Yes.
But twice pretty close.
The reset was the fastest strat, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I was mentioning it, but I don't remember off the top of my head where Coral even takes you from there. So I would have to check.
The Red Lion speak you and you are a fake softlock, a softlock of 2 or 3 minutes, I don't know,
yeah.
To go until Dragon Roost, but not until Dragon Roost.
Yeah, so you probably go to some random island, like some island you're allowed to sail in. But yeah, I guess probably reset was probably the best course of action then.
And sadly, my quiver split was fine.
Yeah, that was
very fine. Yes, but I don't stop Windbreaker.
Yeah.
I will continue the PB, I think, and
That'd be
Onui
cool.
today.
Yeah, hopefully a lot of people that run
Yes.
in this tournament stick around, whether it be this category or another category.
I
Plenty of categories.
yeah, yes. I think perhaps Jin Spare, why not, to test, and yes, no MSS.
Nice.
Awesome. Alright then. Don't be mad, we are a little pressed on time, so I'm gonna call it here. Endvad, thank you so much for participating in the tournament. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're still happy to be able to join us. And yeah. Unless somebody still has to say something, thank you all so much for watching.
Thank you, EG, for the commentary. GG to Nimzo.
Yeah, no problem. I happened to wake up randomly, so that was funny.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have nothing to say on my end. Thanks, guys. Make sure to follow the tournament in the future matches.
Alright. Thank you all for watching. Take it easy. Bye bye.
Bye.